What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Got a special one for you today. I'm going to keep this quick. I know it's a long video. I even had to trim it down. I had so much fun flying the BlackSquare's Starship with the developer, Nick. Fantastic flight we had. I learned a lot. I think you will learn a lot. I tried to condense some of the recording, but it was just so much fun, and there was so much knowledge that was spread throughout the video that I said, you know what? I'm just going to let it go in full form. I did cut out a few specific sections, one in particular. I'm going to upload it later on. It was the full run-up of Starship, the full non-abbreviated checklist for the run-up. It actually took about 20-25 minutes. I'll touch on that later when you get to that part of the video. But if you do want to see that, I will be uploading that here shortly. Other than that, thank you so much, Nick, for doing this flight with me. I had a wonderful time, and I look forward to another one in the future. Until then, y'all enjoy the flight from Santa Barbara up to San Jose, California in the BlackSquare Starship. All right, Nick, so here we are. We're on the ramp with our Starship, and we're going up to San Jose today for a little walk around. You want to guide me around this beautiful airplane?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. This should be a lot of fun. Yeah, so I mean, this is Flight Sim 2024, so we have all the walk-around features. I've implemented them a little differently than some of the native aircraft do. So you won't see those blue pins, but things should highlight if you have.
I think I have that turned off. Yeah, I have it in hardcore mode.
And yeah, but you should be able to walk around and take off all the covers there. You know, if you left those on.
This one here, this one always on.
Those are the gear downlock pins. You know, Starship has really tall landing gear, so we want to make sure that those stay down when we're on the ground.
All right, I guess I'll open the door here while I'm at it. Excellent. I guess we'll pull chocks before we hop in.
And, you know, so the reason I implemented it a little bit differently than the native aircraft is because I already have such complex simulation that I can actually do more using my method than you can with the native system.
That's awesome. This is cool too, that I just being able to click and spin the prop around, check your prop blades. I love that. I've never seen that before. Really
and when the Dukes are updated for 2024, you'll be able to do the same thing with the piston engines, which is a lot of fun. You know, you can hear those magneto impulse couplings.
Fantastic. All right, the prop looks good. Everything looks good out here. Gosh, what I do like about the walk-around feature, and when I first started flying 24, I didn't like it. But now that I'm used to it, I like that it gives you a scale of the airplane that you're going to fly. I really do enjoy it.
I completely agree. They can kind of feel like toys until you stand next to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. All right, in we go. We'll go ahead and get her booted up. So before I turn anything on, let's go ahead and we'll do some weight and balance. You can see here I've got by settings that I've been using right now. But for our, I guess for our ground power, we'll have that connected as well. I can hear it fire up. For our flight today, we're going to take, let's see, we've got 100 gallons in each tank, and then we're going to be pretty light. We'll leave the left aft and right aft light. I've got us loaded here, or I've got us loaded up front, and I've got some passengers in the back. Matter of fact, I'll make my weight a little bit more realistic. And that has us at 12,000 pounds, 2,000, actually almost 3,000 pounds below our max, so we should be good there. CG seems to be in limits. And I do remember you talking about on one of your pre-release videos about the fuel balance and the CG and making sure that we don't get that CG out of whack. So looks like we're all good to go there. As far as failures goes, my favorite part, I have them at 2x. Nothing's broken. I've done a couple test flights, so I'm not sure how our engines are. Oh, look at that. I still got them at 100%. We're doing good.
That's because you're a professional.
Well, no, that's allegedly. All right, so I like our EFB is set up. And all right, where do we go from here? We got to pull the control lock, I assume. All right, we'll pull the control lock, and then we'll get her fired up down here with the battery switch. Very King Air-esque.
Yes, yeah. In the electrical system, you know, if you pulled it up on the tablet, there it should be really familiar to King Air pilots.
Wrong
you
tablet.
Know, it is.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's the triple-fed bus system.
Yep.
And it is, you know, this is in a lot of ways the Starship is a King Air. It's just a futuristic King Air.
Very futuristic King Air. Yeah, I love it.
And that was, you know, the goal was actually to replace the King Air.
Really?
When they designed it, yeah.
Wow.
Clearly that didn't pan out.
Yeah, it did. That's a shame, though. All right, so I also know that from testing, trial and error, that the battery does drain rather rapidly, right? So especially when we get all the avionics on. So now that we have our ground power connected outside and it's running, we can connect the ground power here with our external power switch. And then we should probably also get our avionics blower on as well. And for integrated avionics for getting the aircraft started, I mean, I'm assuming you run the ICAS, the pilot, and you turn them all on. Is there any specific method that I should be aware of?
If we went straight by the checklist, it's just the ICAS, and then the rest we can bring on later.
Can bring online. That would make sense. All right, we'll bring on the ICAS.
But once we connect the ground power, you know, the bus ties are already closed across all the buses, so you could turn on anything you wanted from now.
Okay, right.
And you know, so if we were going through the checklist, you know, you've checked the voltages, you've connected the ground power, ICAS is on, and then, you know, we kind of skipped over the before starting engine checklist, which just kind of gets things, you know, in the right, you know, configuration.
And I got to get that one printed out, because what I've been doing is I love the integrated checklist on here, but I guess you got to boot it up to start running it. So
well, especially in 2024, you know, my plan is to add the checklists all to my tablet as well. I just haven't gotten around to it, and I figured Starship kind of already has one on the MFD, so I will do that, though. It's just I need to sit down and get it done.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, do you want to go through the before starting engines?
Yeah, let's
we can
walk me through it here.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 real pilots here, so we should be able to do it pretty quick.
not Starship rated here, just my self-disclosure.
So, you know, circuit breakers are all in. You saw that, you know, the failures look good, so we can assume that if you don't want to go through them all.
Okay.
Reversionary panels are set. Seats and seat belts. Parking brake is set.
Parking brake is set.
Audio panels good. Static source normal. Oxygen. So that's one of those silver knobs you got there. Yep. So now the oxygen system is armed. Test the oxygen masks. That's just got a great sound to it.
I love this. Love it.
Yeah.
We'll test my side over here. Even though I'm recording from the left seat, I'll pretend I'm in the right seat.
Well, you're helping out a passenger.
That's right.
So then we need the anti-skid switch on. Next to the
anti-skid coming up.
Yeah, you can hear that power up.
Yeah.
Standby instruments on.
Standby instruments. So
that's next to the integrated avionics switches. It's the 4th switch in the middle on the electrical panel. On the electrical panel next underneath the master switches.
Oh.
There you go.
Yes.
So we can see the gyro spin up there.
Yep.
And we can hear that motor tapping away on the altimeter that keeps it honest with us, doesn't get sticky. That is, of course, all simulated in a BlackSquare aircraft. You can tap on the glass and see the needles, and if it's really cold, they can get sticky.
I've witnessed that happen. I've witnessed it happen. It's fantastic.
That's really, there's not a lot of opportunity in Starship to see that, but with the Dukes, it's...
Dukes in Alaska, we discovered that. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm glad somebody did.
Yep.
And then now if we had the power off, you could see the light illuminated next to that switch you just flipped.
Okay.
If you press it, you should see it light up, and that's to tell us that the standby battery is powering those instruments. So even if everything else fails in the aircraft, we can still fly home with just those.
Wow, that'd be a heck of a day.
Yeah. Okay. Power levers are at idle.
We'll go idle forward cutoff.
Yep, cutoff. Bleed switches are off. Temperature mode off. Battery on. Triple fed bus checked. ICAS. Okay, so then the firewall valves on the glare shield.
So this is glare shield, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to flip up the little guard. Push that. And push the other one. So now the valves have closed. It takes them a few seconds to close. And we get the... so now, if we go to the electrical panel and we turn on the 2 standby fuel pumps.
So we'll go standby left, standby right.
So everything there should stay red. So now, open the 2 valves.
So you want me to...
Yep, push them again. Yep.
Both of them?
Yep. And then we should see those 2 lights come off, which means we're getting pressure to the...
Fantastic.
Engine. There you go. And then turn off the pumps, and the lights should come on again.
Pressure light comes back on. Awesome. Very cool. Close the guard.
Perfect. So now that we have, we know the pumps are working, the fuel transfer knob, that's in between the two indicators there.
Yep.
Oh, and you can hide the levers there if you want by clicking next to the trim indicator. Just kind of the
really?
big, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. Okay.
And that's
fantastic.
either
Yeah.
above or below. It's a big click
so now
spot.
you can, okay, that's great.
So then, yeah, the transfer valve. So click that to the left.
So
We
go
should
left,
see the thing come on the
fuel
iCast.
transfer.
Yep, and the
Beautiful.
light go out and to the other side. And the reason the light goes out is because we need the motive flow to push that fuel
Correct.
from one side to the other. So the pump actually turns on.
Awesome.
Great. Low fuel pressure is extinguished when the lights are on. Yep, transfer flow is off. And almost done with the checklist here. Alternate avionics blower switch is on. We got the green indication. The external power is connected. Fuel quantity check.
Okay, so we'll come down here and we got 686, 686. We got 16 aft, 16 aft. Perfectly balanced,
good.
just like real life.
And oxygen pressure I saw is good at 1850. It's topped off.
All right.
And lights as required, and then we're ready to move on.
All right, I guess we'll put those on. We'll throw the nav lights on since we're sitting here.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, so then engine start checklist with the external power.
Okay.
We have our minimum battery voltages ready. So propellers go into feather, so we can be nice to our ground crew.
All right, so we'll bring these back into the feather position.
So ICAS avionics. Okay. Now we are ready to start. So we'll start with the right engine.
Now this is one I haven't actually run through this one. Do we leave the door open for this too, or do we close it?
Either way.
Okay. What do you recommend? Will it sound how? I mean, I'm actually.
It'll sound neat with the door open.
I'm actually curious. I've never started with the door open, so let's do it. So I'll throw the beacon anti-collision light on, and I'm ready for start with external power.
So go for the engine start switch. It'll be up.
All right.
Right.
Go for,
So we'll
ready? Here we go.
Get the starter generator running. And this is where you really want to make sure that you pulled your engine covers off.
Yes.
Because if you didn't, you're going to find out, and it's going to be very expensive.
Yes, it will.
Your indication of that should be if your gas generator RPM is suspiciously low. Like if you're only turning, 14, 15%.
Okay.
Yeah, that would not be good. That's good. We went to about 760 on that engine. At 50%, we turn off the starter.
Perfect. Cut out.
And let's see, you can go right up to the run position on the condition lever if you want to.
Go on to run.
There you go. And then, so don't turn on the generator yet. We'll start with the other side. So get the other side running. Oil pressures look good.
Starting engine 1. What do you let the N1 go to for fuel? Is it max motor?
Maximum.
Okay.
Yeah, so just wait for it to kind of top out. It should be high 17s to 18, right about there. It's good.
Fuel on.
That should give us the coolest start possible. And also, if you're trying to be really nice to your engines, you can face into the wind.
Right.
Just having a
Get
little bit
extra
more of
airflow.
that airflow, makes a difference.
Awesome. Starter cutout. I'm going to run.
Wonderful. Looks like 2 good starts. And we
All
have a
right.
nice low prop RPM, so everybody outside is
Nice and
not
quiet.
getting blown away.
Yep.
So now we can turn off the external power,
All right, so external power switch is coming off.
and we disconnect it from the aircraft. You can either do that on the tablet, or you can step outside and actually,
Oh, really?
disconnect the cable. Yep.
Let's go do that.
I figured you left the door open. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's convenient. You don't have to go up back towards the engine. All right, we'll hop back in. And then, actually, I like the animations. Excuse my camera work here. Now, can we pull this in from here? Yes, beautiful. All right, I'll let you verify the door is locked.
Well, we were talking about the failure interface earlier, and
Yeah.
when I was test flying the other night, it randomly triggered a faulty door lock
Oh,
sensor
jeez.
on short final.
Oh, great.
So, but that's what I build my
I love it.
my
I
aircraft
love it.
for.
I absolutely
It's
love
the
that.
kind of experience to me, even though I build them and know everything behind the scenes,
Right.
it just delights me when that
Oh,
happens.
that's the best. That is the best. I love it.
So all right, so now we're running on the battery power alone. So now we
Yes,
need to get the generators online.
Okay.
So flip them. You have to flip them all the way up to the
all way
reset
up
position.
To reset and on. Check right generator, and then we'll go ahead and do left gen. I guess I should have clicked that there. Good. All right, we got both on, right, left gen.
And then we can check that the battery is charging or leveled. That's to hold down the battery amp switch on the left.
Sorry, there it is.
Yeah. And it should be 0 because we had the external power plugged in.
Cool.
Okay. And yeah, the generators are paralleled. Voltages look good. Lights have gone out on the ICAS.
Yep.
And great. That means we can scroll down on the checklist. We can, generator ties are closed now, and propeller levers full forward, and then we can turn on the integrated avionics switches.
All right, propeller's coming out of feather. I love this sound. Pilot, co-pilot avionics coming up.
Those are my favorite sounds.
Yeah.
And that's all recorded from the real aircraft.
Awesome.
I really wanted this to be a project about preserving history.
Right.
So anything like that, when I talked to the owners, one of my very first questions was, what is the coolest thing about Starship that you want to see preserved? And
I love that.
Each one of those from each of the owners made its way into this aircraft.
That's awesome.
One of the earlier ones was about how quiet the cabin was. You can actually hear the Hobbs meter tick.
Really?
When you're in flight.
I
made sure.
All right. I can't wait.
Before taxi checklist?
Well, let's run it.
All right. So pilot and co-pilot avionics are on. Standby indicators are operating. Bleed air valves are on both.
Both.
Temperatures are set. Looks like you got the knobs kind of turned up there. Avionics might get a little toasty.
Turn down a little bit.
That's good. And when you turn up those fan speeds and everything,
I've heard it. Yes.
Yep. That's all. That's all simulated. That's what I do with Boris for the sounds. Is I write all the code to drive everything, and then he designs the sound environment with the recordings.
That's great.
So when you turn things up and down like that, when you hear the fans start and stop, that's all recorded from the real aircraft. But the speeds and everything are driven from the code.
Wow. The real deal. It's the real deal.
Okay, temperature, that's on auto. Good. Lights as required. Cabin lights as required. No smoking. Seatbelt signs are on. You can give us a ding, let the passengers know we're ready to go. Pilot and co-pilot instruments are operating. We can retract the forward wing if we had it extended for the pre-flight.
Check. It is retracted.
AHAR's aligning message is extinguished.
Extinguished?
Yeah, it would be flashing.
Okay.
Yeah. CDU verify, you've done. Radar is on standby. Should be anyway when we boot up the aircraft.
Okay.
And then we can just check the brakes when we're ready to pull out for the before takeoff checklist.
All right. So I got a simple flight plan going up to San Jose. So do we run through that? We'll run through it here through the FMS. All right. So I'll hit the flight plan key. This is how I've been doing it. Is this right, wrong, different technique wise? And then I've been just going from here and entering it.
That's the simplest thing you can do.
Okay.
If you pull up the plan map on the MFD, it'll step through it as you create it.
Okay, so I'll put it on display mode there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got our first fix. I am using the handy dandy click the screen and then use the keyboard to type. So if I click here, I can use the actual keyboard. Golf Victor Oscar. All right, after Gordonsville, let's see, I closed mine. What did we have? Do you have it up still?
You had Splint. November Tango.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Scatter. Sierra Charlie Tango Romeo.
All right, entered. Okay.
And Clyde, Kilo, Lima, India, Delta, Echo.
Beautiful. And if you haven't already seen the modified T9 version, I highly recommend you watch the video that BlackSquare put out on the Just Flight YouTube page for the modified T9 install. If anybody had a Razer cell phone or cell phones before we had the keyboards, you know. I mean, I used to be able to type under the desk with that thing with one hand. So. All right. So I guess, and then I'll put in the destination here as well, right? So after Clyde, we'll just put in San Jose.
Yeah, because putting in the airport will allow us to pull up an approach procedure.
Excellent. And then end flight plan, right? That's what I've been doing. Okay. All right.
And then,
I see it built out.
Yeah, and when you go step through the list like that, it'll the map will follow.
Excellent.
It's the plan map. And then just for anybody who hasn't seen it, the CHP joystick there. If you
right
want
here.
To
Yep.
toggle. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the other way. Okay. So I fixed this last night. Somebody told me about this, that it was slow using the legacy interaction. Yeah. So with lock interaction, which is the one with like the blue highlights, you can drag it around. It literally feels like a cursor on a desktop. You just drag it around. It's super intuitive.
Yeah.
But I fixed the speeds on that for the legacy mode last night. So I know it looks like a pain right now, but it's a lot better.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. So then all you have to do to add to the flight plan is, and you can do this anywhere on the CDU. So for instance, if you want to show it off right now.
Yeah.
I know it'll take a minute, but if you want to get down to that VOR down there.
Gordonsville? Come down here? All right.
Or whichever one.
What is that, RZS down there? Yeah, we'll go down there.
And then if you open the nav tuning page on the CDU, when you get there. Yeah, so now go to the nav page. The radio on the left. On the CDU, the button's all the way on the left. The nav button.
Oh yeah, right.
So that's to tuning the radios. So now press the enter button on the MFD.
Okay.
Joystick symbol, identifier.
Joystick symbol identifier.
No, as in it showed the joystick symbol and then it typed in the identifier. So now you can,
119.
if you want to, see the identifiers in the scratch pad. So now instead of putting in a frequency, press one of those line select keys, any one.
Okay.
There you go. Boom. And it puts in the frequency.
14.9 and boom, there it is.
This airplane, so cool. Honestly, my most favorite flying experience I've probably ever had. I mean, this airplane, they really knew what they were doing when they built this. And because nobody had ever done it before.
No, and the fact that this was done in the 80s it blows my mind.
They had to think through everything like this and say, what's the most intuitive way to present all this information?
Yep.
And how can we just blow people's minds? And if you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just love seeing like the attenuations, like signal. We got interference because we're on the ground. I love that too. Just wonderful.
And if you look on the MFD, that VOR that we put the cursor over, it has a little 1.
It has a 1, because because it's wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so that, if you see at the bottom of the nav page there, it says man and aught on the two sides. Right? Yeah. So when we're in flight, if we were flying just using the original navigation system without the GPS augmentation, we can tell it to go into auto mode.
Wow.
And it will automatically tune the stations as we go along. So that not only can we keep up with it, but it's also improving its position estimate by doing triangulation with those stations.
Wow.
So a lot of what this airplane does is like the stuff that you learned in private pilot training. It's doing it all in the background all the time.
For you. Wow. That's great. And we don't see, you don't see that anywhere anymore now.
No.
That's what's,
Well, and the VOR depiction on the map.
Yes,
that's
I watched
like
that
my
one.
favorite thing.
And you turn the course of the inbound, outbound. That's
brilliant.
Brilliant.
Great. So we got the flight plan in there now.
So I guess we'll move over to the nav source since we're going to be
exactly.
FMS1 for this one, which will be white. All right. And then I saw that you ran this in the was it the progress where you had all the waypoints listed.
Yes, that's FMS progress.
And progress page. There he is. Excellent. Oh, and I wanted to show, if you guys wanted to see the checklist that Nick is running, they're all here, right? So we can kind of go down to before taxi checklist, and you can run through and check them all off too, which is awesome.
what I love about that in the real airplane too is that there is a trigger on the back of the yoke to advance the checklist.
Oh, so, really? That's cool.
They thought of everything.
They thought of everything. That's awesome.
And I have that. Obviously, it makes no sense to be on the back of the yoke here, but I have an event for that. So if you wanted to program your yoke,
I will. I will. I did see all the programming and the button mapping that you have is going to be excellent. I cannot wait to really take some time. There's so much. It's probably going to take me a day to get everything dialed in the way that I want to set it up on my hardware. But once it's locked in, I think it's going to be incredible. So.
And just advancing those checklists with like your
just
honeycomb,
with the honeycomb
would
be. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
And then to advance pages in that checklist too, you can use the CHP joystick. So when you're done, like if you go,
let's see. So like if we were in the before takeoff full, and we'd go all the way down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can kind of show you some of the other features. I mean, they really did think of everything. You know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, tap the joystick.
Ah, yes.
But let's say that actually, okay. So if you go back to the checklist that you were on by going to the left,
right here.
Okay. Well, okay. So go to the next one and start it. You know, start going through the items. Yeah, so now like go a couple items in. Now go back out to index and go to the progress page or something. Whatever, it's fine. And then, so then do you see the recall button down on the bottom?
Yeah.
Push that.
What? That
right
I
back
see.
to,
That's new to me. I didn't see that. Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
And then if you go again back out, well, actually you can do it from here. If you had an emergency, you can push the emergency button and it'll take you to the index for the emergency checklist.
Wow. They really did think of everything.
And then after that, if you have to go do something else, again, you push the recall button and it's right back to your emergency checklist.
Jeez, that's great. Wow.
Really phenomenal.
And the fact you got that all modeled too is just I've never had my mind blown so many different times. Like today is my first day hands-on with the airplane, and every time I figure something else out, it's just like unbelievable.
I appreciate it. There's very little missing from this aircraft. This was really a passion project for me in every way.
It is very clear when you guys get this aircraft and you fire it up for the first time. Even not even fire, you're just looking at even the modeling, everything from the outside, texture work. But when you get in, fire it up, you hear all the different sounds. You see the way things are just simulated through the checklist, like we just showed, or whether it's inputting your flight plan. It is oozing with passion, and you can definitely tell. It's not just another airplane that you pick up from the marketplace and go flying. This is a whole nother level of simulation, and I'm just so excited.
And I said I was going to kind of say this when I was doing some of these appearances. It's been really tough for me to get these words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But I believe this is the most complex aircraft ever created for Microsoft Flight Simulator, GA aircraft.
I would not doubt it one bit. And I fly a lot of the GA stuff in Microsoft Flight Sim, and I've kind of kept my eye out, see what's coming out, and there's I don't think there is. I don't. If there is, I don't know of it. This is this is the top.
I didn't set out to do that. It was only weeks. I was really kind of, as I'm filling out the manual and everything, I was kind of sitting there scratching my head going, I really can't think of another, there's the hot start, what is that? The Challenger 650?
The Challenger, correct, yes. Yeah.
But that's X-Plane. Right. And I think that kind of meets this bar and probably exceeds it. But as far as Microsoft Flight Sim is concerned,
no, absolutely not. And even then, this is I think this is the new bar. This is the new bar. There's no doubt about that.
And in no way am I implying that this is the best aircraft or anything of the sort. But from a pure complexity,
I can say it is.
For me, it's always been about the word complexity, and
right.
I think that's where it really shines. I'm not going to claim it has the best materials, the softest upholstery. So as we're getting ready to go here, if you want it, I'm not saying you should do this, but if you wanted to,
just point in the right direction here.
On the CDU, if you go into the flight planning page, so that's if you go back out to index.
Oh, I'm sorry. Index.
Put that back on the progress page.
All right, so we'll go back to
this was just a quick thing. Yeah, I mean, just see how it's shown in yellow there. So that's actually something optional that I've added. Okay. If you go to the index page on the CDU, it's a little button.
It's a little button.
Bottom left.
Right here.
No, on
Nope,
the CD.
on this one here, on the CD. Yeah.
Well, I know I'm throwing around a lot of these acronyms.
It's all
There's,
good. I'm
in the
still
manual,
learning.
there's a page with a layout of the whole panel with just the acronyms. Because whenever you're talking to the Starship owners, everything is the SDU, the CHP,
Right.
the CDU,
Right.
the MFD.
Yeah,
So,
and you know, being a real pilot, I mean, we have so many acronyms in our head. It's just like my head is just loaded with acronyms.
So this is on. So there's the fuel management and there's the trip planning. If you go to the trip planning page, that's where you can enter. Like if you see it says estimated ground speed is all zeros. But if you put something in there like you wanted to fly faster, fly slower, and an estimated fuel burn, that updates on the progress page, so you can actually like really plan the flight.
Okay, so if you put, for instance, if I put, 250 might be a little aggressive, but it would just say 200, and you just put an estimated ground speed here.
Yep, and it might take a moment. Do
we need a pounds per hour or?
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, look at that.
And that kind of speed, by the way, is realistic.
Okay.
The transfer speed between the avionics, we're talking about like this is 80, 86 levels of speed here.
Yeah.
So even sitting in the real airplane,
gotta be patient.
We would be button pushing things and then kind of like having a conversation while we waited for it to update. And you said 250 would be aggressive, but it's not.
I guess,
mean,
right?
Cruising speed is about 320.
All right, so let's put 250 in there. You got I mean, you've been flying it. What's our pounds per hour? 24,000 feet.
It's already got a default in there. So if you don't update that page at all, you see it's got 780 pounds per hour total.
Yeah,
on the right.
Yeah.
So so that way you can scroll through the flight plan and you can legitimately
plan it out. Wow, all from your cockpit. That's great.
Yep. And while we're doing the planning part, if you go back to the index page and just go to the fuel management screen real quick, so that's the initialization. So it just tells you how much you've burned since we've activated the aircraft. But I think you had like 1,200 pounds in there.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you just put in 1,200 real quick.
Let's see, 1,200 and fuel remaining right here.
Yeah. So now that will propagate also on the right. So you see it has fuel remaining, and then it propagated everything.
So we're landing 564 in San Jose.
And then, here it's got all your weights for you on the CDU. You can put in the number of passengers, the average passenger weight. And it's showing you how much you've burned and what your weight's going to be when you arrive.
Yep.
How much fuel you're going to have.
Awesome. All right. So where do you like to keep your CDU screen?
The flight plan.
Okay, you just keep it in flight plan. Right here. Okay.
It depends what you're doing, because like sometimes I'll have the radar on the ND, and then you might want to have the flight plan on the MFD. But I find the progress page, the flight plan, and then the map.
Yeah,
on the ND.
Map on the ND. Right, and we'll scroll that range down. We're facing the wrong direction right now, but all right, cool.
That's kind of how my preferred method.
Okay. Before taxi check, do we need to run that or?
Before taxi, we're good to go.
We're good to go.
I'll let you take it out to the runway.
All right. I do like the way you've got the beta, where you can do an unrestricted beta range for everyone's different hardware. That's great. So you don't have to be running around doing 90 knots down the taxiway.
That was something that I went through a few iterations. This is going way back now to like the King Air. I went through a few different iterations of that, and I could, it's tough because it's not something that Flight Sim has been really good at over the years.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best.
And I've had to do obviously a lot of work to get the beta, the physics to work. But I wanted the best solution for the user. So we actually kind of put out a poll to all of my testers and everybody at Just Flight, and I gave them like 3 different options. I said, which of these sucks the least? And it was unanimous, and everybody liked this. So I hope it satisfies people.
No, it really does. And I think I hope we get to see some future advancements in hardware, because I think we're getting to a point now, especially with the aircraft that you're producing. I mean, we need that hardware with the beta range, with the reverse range, with the feather detents and stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to see that in the future.
I love watching that shadow come across the ramp too, with those wings out in front. It's so cool.
All right, so holding short here. What's next here?
All right,
guys, so this is where Nick and I went through the full run-up procedure for the Starship. This actually turned out to be about a 20-minute run-up process. That's just due to my unfamiliarity with the aircraft and during the run-up phase. I am going to upload this in full form so you can watch it. I highly recommend that you do, because you really get to see every single intricate little system detail modeled throughout this run-up process. Now that I'm familiar with the full run-up checklist, it's going to be much faster. I mean, Nick was saying he could breeze through it in a matter of minutes, which I 100% believe. I think the next time him and I go about this, it would be the same thing. We could probably knock out the entire run-up in less than 2 minutes. But this being my first time running through the entire process, I decided to save you 20-25 minutes of that run-up just to get us to the takeoff.
Okay. Propeller levers back to full forward. Standby altimeter set. And we're good to go.
All right. 299er 4 is set all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
I'm ready to go.
All right. You didn't know what you were getting into, did you?
And I warned you, actually.
All right.
All right. So before takeoff checklist.
Let's run it.
All right. Standby, or the stall warning heat on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whenever you're got a free moment. And that'll warn you if you leave them on too long. Pitot-static heats on, ice protection as required. Vent and cable heats on.
Vent and cable heat, is that going to be...
That's right there, yeah, those two at the bottom. Yep. Don't need the inertial separators.
Nope.
Bleed air valves are on both. Transponder on. That's the ATC standby button on the RTU. So the RTU,
Standby,
yeah,
got it.
there you go, perfect. So now transponder's on. Enunciators, consider. Alternate avionics blowers on. Oh, we got the auto feathers still in test. Put that to arm.
Oh, yeah. Don't want that.
Cockpit lights dim for takeoff. Windshield heat on low. That's just, yeah, you can just do the left. Whatever.
Oh, I get it.
Dim for takeoff. Windshield heat. Auto ignition as required. Generator loads, check. That's just, we're making sure the battery's not like still charging too, because we went to full power. You can heat up the battery too much.
Yep.
And trim is set for takeoff.
Set for takeoff. A little bit of forewarning here. Trim was set right on the forward band for takeoff at the most nose low position. We'll come back to this later.
All right. And then the takeoff is up to 100% torque. ITT limit is 850, 1700 RPM.
Alrighty, you ready?
Oh, do you want the forward wing out?
Oh, yeah, yes, of course.
Yeah, Starship, it lands long and it takes off long. That is probably, to me at least, I mean, I've done everything by the books. Everything should be within like 1 or 2% of the POH.
Yeah.
And it is such a lovely airplane in so many ways, but it lands long and takes off long.
All
right, so we can do the go around button.
Yep,
to get us
I got
our
it set.
pitch
Roll.
raised up.
Let's see. I got roll go around AP1. Let's see. Do I need to?
I've seen it do this before. I need to look into it. Why it
This
doesn't
kind of-
hold that 8 degrees sometimes. But what it should do is that once you rotate, it'll hold the pitch
Hold
still.
8
So when you
degrees.
activate, yeah,
Okay.
it'll still work. I don't know why.
Oh
the
wow,
flight director
pitot
does
overheat. Is that because we're not rolling?
that. That's exactly why.
Wow.
Because we're doing too much talking.
All right. 100%
All right.
torque. What was the temp limit again?
850.
850.
Yeah. What's the outside air temperature? 19C. It should be
19C
fine.
should be all right. Here we go.
But it does, after a sort of a lethargic roll, it really rockets on the climb out. I mean, with this
Yes.
kind of weight, we should probably be doing 3,500 to 4,000 feet per minute.
Oh wow. Power set.
Power set 77%.
Oh jeez.
That's a really lethargic takeoff.
I see red. I get nervous. Props.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. So you can rotate a long time ago.
Here's coming up. About 8 degrees pitch.
And just to be clear, we sort of fumbled that a bit. It's not going to take an 8,000 foot runway.
By we, he means me. I totally fumbled that takeoff from setting the power, the trim being in the forward band, and not rotating at the appropriate airspeed. So I think he was being kind, but it definitely shouldn't be that long of a takeoff. Yeah, no, I definitely I was looking down here at the N1. That's my bad.
No, I understand. And it's, I would say with this kind of weight going on, it's probably a 3,200 foot roll, I would guess.
What's your wing retract speed?
You can just, I mean, you're rocketing off the runway so fast, you can just pull it up pretty much whenever you're ready.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love this view here too.
I know.
You can see it's going back.
And you know, the wings have that composite flex to them, and the forward wing, if you saw it bouncing around on the runway too, it's really, you know, it's right in your view. It's really neat to see.
Yep.
I would say the only drawback to that one is that when the sun angle is just wrong, it can, you know, glint off the forward wing and straight into your eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's and you experience that in flight sim, which is amazing now.
That is, yeah, it really is.
But it also reminds you you're flying a Starship, so it's not all bad. All right, so takeoff. We got the gear up, wing retracted, climb out, yaw damper on. Climb power is 90% torque, 840 ITT, and 1600 RPM.
All right, 90% torque, 840 RPM. Yeah, we've got to bring these back 1600.
And then prop sync on when you're ready.
Prop sync is going to be, where's that prop sync at?
It's right next to the auto feather.
So looking right at it. I guess we can go, I got us an FMSIS. Oh, so what is it, 140 I think? Was that?
So you can set it whenever you want. 140 is a good climb speed.
That's
160
what I saw
if you.
the manual, 160 for like a UI, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I could look at it for you, but there's so much power, you know, I kind of just go for whatever feels good.
I mean, look,
there's the real numbers.
rocketing. The altimeter and the VSI thing, this combined together is very neat.
Yeah,
it takes some getting used to, but it's very intuitive when you look at it because you got the VSI in the middle there and it's just winding up.
And then, so you're in ASI mode. I use, or AIS, excuse me. I use AIS profile mode on the way out.
All right, I did see that down here. Is that so? AIS profile mode.
So it didn't look like it did anything, but what it's going to do now is that did you see it just did it?
Yeah.
I forget if it's every 500 or every 1,000 feet, it ticks it back by 2 knots.
Wow.
And I asked one of the pilots, you know, because what I was seeing was that, you know, that 2 knots is enough for the autopilot to kind of react. And he said, oh yeah, it's like a staircase as you go up, you know, every 1,000 feet, it's just one, and then you can feel it. You can feel it, you know, increase the pitch attitude, or I guess decrease it as it goes up.
So he's referring to the indicated airspeed bug. If you watch it closely, you'll see it step back as we continue to climb in altitude, therefore giving us the best climb rate up to our cruise altitude today of 24,000 feet. Pretty neat little feature. Gosh, that's awesome. I got the autopilot music. I got to turn down my sensor just a little bit.
Oh, you can use the headphone isolation if you'd like.
I would love to.
Yeah, so click the headphone jacks there for the pilot. It's unfortunately it's right behind the yoke. You just
I just hit it right there.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's
and
great.
What you can do is you can scroll the mouse wheel on the headphone jacks, and that's like turning the
A&R up or down.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Oh, it might be because you're using the legacy. I'm sorry, I can't hear the sound, so I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I've got it set now. That's perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know. It sounds great, doesn't it?
It sounds really good. Yeah, I had to turn my master volume up because I wanted to hear the noise canceling. That's spot on. You must have the Bose A20s.
I don't actually. I'm a Dave Clark guy.
Are you really? Okay,
Yeah.
But A&R with the Dave Clarks, or you get?
I don't actually. I'm more of a.
You're old school.
I am, and it's really just because you know, how many people I've flown with, it's like every single time they get in the airplane and they're going, oh, my batteries are dead.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot the batteries. It's like, I don't have time for this.
Understandable.
But, you know, if I flew, obviously, for a career, I'm sure I would do that.
Well, I mean, the noise canceling now is so crazy that I actually feel like it reduces your situational awareness. So I don't even turn it on until we're either taking off or above 10,000 feet because it's almost scary how quiet stuff is.
I like that. That's I think that means you're a good pilot.
Well, allegedly.
But the other reason I'm a Dave Clark guy is because their factory was in my hometown.
Oh, really?
So I always used to, you know, drive by on the highway and see, there's Dave Clark. You know, they had the They also made, like the suits for the U2 pilots.
Oh wow.
So when you went in their lobby, they had the U2 pilot, the pressure suits just sitting in their lobby.
That's really neat. That is really neat. Man, I can't
They
believe
don't pay me for the record.
this is not a sponsored commercial for Dave Clark.
So let's see. We got lights as required, and is the pressurization following us up here? Yeah, it's not going to go far, obviously.
Yeah, we're not going to go too far. Yeah, and I guess we're already at 10,000 feet, so I'll turn all those off. So I noticed this. We have low and anti-collision. Is this... What's the difference between those?
The low, it's just the intensity of the thing. I actually had to go look in the maintenance manual, and see the schematic for how that one worked.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just like the low is good for ground operations, and like if you're in some clouds or something, you don't want
you don't want to be
blinding
blasting in your
flash.
face. Yep.
And then while we were looking at the light panel there, I'll mention one that I know people are going to wonder about, which is bar.
Yeah.
That's the drink bar in the back.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
let's see. I wonder if it's...
Well,
it's
don't.
not quite
no,
dark enough yet.
I don't have it modeled.
No bar. Uninstalling.
I know. Well, I know people are... Oh, ITT's getting up there.
ITT temp coming back.
I know people are going to be upset that I haven't modeled the toilet either. I'm sorry.
No. Trust me, there's more modeled in this thing. We don't need to worry about the toilet on this one. That is for sure. Guys, I cooked your engines already. Sorry about that.
Yeah, luckily I don't have the thing that logs it and tells your mechanic that you've been a bad boy.
Now, with the IAS profile mode, is it just going to keep going back, or?
Yeah, I think it's right now. I think it's at the end. I think it goes to 130.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really neat. It just keeps. I mean, that's actually, it made a difference, because I did a test sector and I was just kind of cruising out at 160. We're almost at 24,000 feet already. That's,
can you believe it?
Yeah, that's wow. Wow.
Yeah, like a rocket.
I love it.
It stops being a rocket when you get into the flight level 400.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
can imagine.
The pressurization, if you look at it, I mean, the differential is really high, because you're getting all the way up there into the 40,000 feet, and there is a gross weight limit on getting up there, because if you try to go max gross and get up to 40,000, it's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, realistically, 35,000's a good place to be, kind of at all weights. You can get up there, but hey, one of the Starships was used as a chase plane for White Knight in Spaceship One.
Really?
I mean, they got up there.
Oh, jeez. That's just an incredible feat of engineering when you think about it. It's so amazing.
And to me, one of the, I said I before we started recording that I've just loved being now a caretaker of Starship history.
Yeah, you really are. I think you did it justice too. I mean, this is...
It means that all sorts of people have gotten in touch with me and sent me their photos and videos.
There's not very... Do we know how many are still out flying around? It can't be very many.
5 or 6, depending on how you want to count it.
Jeez.
But my favorite thing I've been sent so far was when Starship was used as a chase plane for Steve Fawcett's global flyer, the solo flight around the world without refueling.
Oh my goodness.
And it's this view over the ocean of global flyer below Starship with the forward wing, in front of you. And it's just talk about engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, and to make it look so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, well, really easy flight up to 24,000.
I mean, we're here. There we are. I mean, geez. Yep, there we are, 24,000 feet. I turned the auto feather off. That's just kind of the King Air thing we did. I don't know if it's any different in the Starship.
Auto feather off, light
I still noticed the alternate blower for the avionics. Do we leave that on, or should I shut that off?
Some pilots leave it on all the time. You can shut it off. It's fine.
Okay.
Well, if you want to do, actually, is pull up the tablet, and you can take a look at those temperatures.
And we can see how it's going. Yeah. All right. So
I know it's kind of like cheating, but...
No. It's good. It's good for, let's see. So that would be under cabin, right?
Oh, yeah. Nice and cool up there, so you can turn it off.
All right. Man, the avion, wow. I do love the tablet feature. of all these systems. I don't know if you've seen it, but I mean, we've done PT6 discussions in like during streams.
Oh, it's a learning tool.
It's such a. I wish I had this when I was going through training, like something to see the visualization of how that moves and the exchangers work and everything. It's really a great tool.
And Starship's got a weird one. If you go back to that engine page, I had never heard of this one before. So you know that with the P2.5 bleed valves on a PT6, and this one's got one, which is not unusual. We use the P3 for the cabin pressurization because it has such a high differential. Smaller airplanes can get by using the P2.5, like a Piper Meridian or TBM. But look at the other side on this one. It's got this duct. No, as in on the other side of the engine. It's got this duct. Instead of a P2.5, it puts this air back through a series of louvers into the radial inlet.
Wow.
And that's called the jet flap pre-swirl.
Jet flap pre-swirl right here. That is...
And in theory, they say that improves the spool up time.
Interesting.
I don't know how many other planes
I've never heard
that.
of a jet flap pre-swirl. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. I believe it, though. I mean, with everything else they've engineered on this airplane, I would imagine they did it for a purpose, and it was good enough to keep it.
And then you can see, while we're on the page here, do you see on the G there for generator? It's got a slight blue outline to it.
Yeah.
So I simulate the temperatures on all these things. And, we're up in cruise now, so we got lots of airflow moving through the nacelles, and we're not using it that hard. But, if we were at low level, we're sitting on the ground, and you had all the heats and everything turned on, you'd see that would start to heat up.
Waiting in line for takeoff and something like
exactly.
that.
Yeah. And if it starts, like let's say you lost a generator right now, and you get all the load shifted over to one side, it's a hot day.
It's got to pick up that load.
And you're going to see it start to heat up, and it might overheat, and it might trip off.
Wow. That's great.
And then, the oil viscosities too, the temperature.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. The fact that I don't know. I mean, it would be, I'd love to see like some behind that. I know it's probably all proprietary stuff, but how do you come up with this? It's just
show it off like that.
You should have post a video or something like this is with the in-depth or how I do this, because it really is incredible stuff.
Well, you said you love the tablet. That's why I made it, because I was finding that with my, the steam gauge overhaul aircraft, I was putting them out there, and it seemed like even the most hardcore fans were unaware of the level that I was going into. And I said, that's it.
Yep. I'm doing
I have to do something that'll show it off.
Show it. Yeah. That's a great.
I remember something. My father was a college professor. And he always said, if you didn't see it, it didn't happen.
That's a good point. That's
speaking of student projects and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of said, if they don't see it, they don't know what's happening.
And especially with flight simulation, we have all these different airplanes. You're like, oh, when you flip a switch, it's supposed to do this. But now when you have a tablet interface like this, when you boot up the Starship or the TBM or the Dukes and your BlackSquare aircraft, you're powering up actual logic behind the panel. It's not just something you're seeing here displayed on a gauge. Like there's actually stuff going on, simulation going on behind the panel that makes it that much more enjoyable, and the satisfaction level just goes through the roof.
That's how I feel about it. I mean, when I can't fly anything else, I'll be honest. It's and it's not because there aren't other good aircraft. It's just I know everything. Yeah. I know everything here, and it's just it makes my day to know that. And I'll share a feeling that I get flying for real that I suspect you might have had as well. Do you have a moment sometimes where you flip a switch, like an auto feather switch, and it's just an item on the checklist, and then you might have this intrusive thought that goes, oh my God, that's a circuit board 30 feet behind me. Yeah. that like I'm relying on to work.
Yes.
And there's electrons flowing through it, and it's heating up, and there's corrosion on it. Oh God.
Yeah, and the airplane is 100 years old. Yeah.
That's how I feel flying my aircraft in flight sim.
Yeah.
Is, like when you said, you look at that screen right now, that screen is thinking about the airflow behind the panel, It's thinking about how hard the sun is hitting the fuselage in the nose.
Yes, I saw that. I remember you touched on that on that video.
Uh-huh.
You released about the cooling. Yes.
And it's thinking about that. And it's thinking about it, like, even though you can't see it, you know, if you were going to turn that screen on and off, like if you want to have some fun right now, that composite reversionary mode switch on the reversionary panel. Yeah, flip that down.
Okay.
So
Nice.
that just moves everything down there in case we had a screen failure.
Yep.
And if we just, you know, hang out for a minute and then you flip it back up to the top, you'll see it's going to take a moment to warm back up because that screen is cooling off now. So if you, I think now
you should flip
safe.
it on.
Flip, yeah. Nah, you can see that.
Okay. We're in the sun right now too.
Yeah,
it's probably baking.
It makes a difference.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Yeah. No, I know. Yep, that's cool. And I love CRT screens and having, how many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14. Yeah, it's 14 CRTs. It's great. I love it. And I don't know. I know it was showing it earlier when the sun was up, but just the detail to the CRT when the sun hits it just right and everything. You can see the little bit of fingerprints on there, a little bit of dust. It really has that CRT look with almost that curve too around the front.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did a really fantastic job with that. What for cruise? Kind of just leave it at do you have a?
So max is 97% torque, but you're not going to get there with the ITT limits. Yeah. I mean, so the ITT, you know, the limit is still 840 on the way up, but you know, I think you're in a pretty comfortable spot.
Yeah,
here.
just kind of leave it. I mean, that makes it. It's just a joy to fly. I didn't know if there was, like I know some Kingers and stuff. They have quiet cruise RPMs. You bring them way back and all that. But
well, if you look, the RPM, the green band is very small.
It is. It is.
And so I talked to one of the owners about this quite a bit because you can see right now we're in the cyan range there.
Actually,
and there's just a little cyan point. Nah, it's fine.
Okay.
You can round it 1700 if you want. But there's that little pointer. And then on the torque gauge, there's also a little cyan pointer.
Yes.
So those are noise compliance levels. Because Starship is a very loud airplane on the outside and a very quiet airplane on the inside. And you know, if you've ever heard an Avanti go by,
oh yeah,
I mean, you know,
you don't even have to look.
You can hear
you
them.
don't have to look. Yeah, you know, oh, that's an Avanti. Yep.
I mean, seriously, that happened to me earlier this year. I was walking around a park and I just said, it got to be 5 miles out. And I said, yep, there's an Avanti coming.
Avanti coming in, yeah.
So Starship is the same. You know, and it's because you get that disturbed airflow that hits the props over the back of the wing. But inside, that makes it really quiet.
Super quiet. Yeah,
and you can hear the difference in the sound from the front to the back of the cabin too, which I really love.
Yeah, like I just said, I guess I'm not sure you have sounds. I think I had that off for any double echoing, but yeah, I mean you can hear as you move through the cabin. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I kind of wish, I love the King Air, but man, it would be nice to have a bunch of these flying around, you know?
I know I'm a very biased opinion, but you know, they have a Starship at the Kansas Aviation Museum I went to, and I was walking around it and just looking at it, and it's in really sad shape. I mean, you know, it's been baked in the sun, like the composite, basically, it feels like a cookie, like you can just crack it off and eat it. And I looked at it and I just thought to myself, you know, I think this airplane could have changed the future. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying we'd really be living in a different world, but you know,
no,
as far as aviation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it definitely would have. I think it definitely would have.
We don't have to get into why, you know, there's all sorts of things you can read about that. But
yeah. Very neat. Man, and we're just clipping along here too. Look at that. We're doing.
And you're not even pushing it.
We're not. We're very conservative power setting. And shoot, we've got OAT minus 20, 320 TAS right now. Digital TAS. You don't have to spin the IAS around. Very neat.
And you know, if you want to get ready for that descent, you can put a VNAV in.
Okay. So
that's on the underneath the arrow keys there.
VNAV. There we go. All right. And we'll do. Do you just want to target like a vertical speed?
Just something to give us a rule of thumb on the way down. Oh no, that's the altitude. So you just say, you know, if you want to end up at 1500 at SJC.
Oh, let's see, Clyde. Well, actually, I think Clyde is on the chart here. Let me pull this up. So yeah, Clyde at 4,000 put us in position here. So we'll put 4,000 feet. And
Wow.
then that's going to tick up. So we're
Almost
actually
time to
getting.
go.
We're that's great. Yeah. So right now, if we were to start down, we did 900 feet per minute, 915, and as we get closer, that's going to go up. So.
And what I do for that is the descent profile mode. And what that does is, when you're ready, is it will put the airspeed bug, I think it's 30 knots underneath the barber pole.
Oh,
And
wow.
as we go down, it's going to hold that, 30 knots under the barber pole all the way down. So all you have to do is adjust the power levers.
Wow.
But what's really neat is that you can override that with whatever speed you want. So when you put it into descent profile mode, if you're like, nah, I want to get down there and I want to be 5 knots under the barber pole, you're in really smooth air, let's say, you can, turn up the airspeed bug till it's 5 knots under the barber pole, and it will again hold
It's
that
gonna
on the
honor
way
that.
down. Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's
They
better than the
thought of
Airbus.
everything. It's better than a lot of things. I love this airplane.
That is awesome. All right. So I guess we'll shoot for about 1,500 feet per minute or so. Then we'll hit the descent
about right.
profile right here, right? And then that should.
1,500 is kind of like sort of the end of what I would do.
Oh, so you'd actually go a little bit further then.
It's a really efficient airplane.
Okay. Okay.
It can be hard to slow down.
Okay.
But
So.
1,500 is okay.
Well, all right.
Maybe 1,000, 1,200 would
All right,
probably
we'll
be
do
pretty
1,000.
safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do 1,000. So.
And then on the way down, if you wanted to, let's say, if you were, talking to ATC, I know you've done some fantastic videos with, I assume VADSIM.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
If you needed to give them, or they gave you some kind of altitude for reporting, the decision height panel there above the altimeter has that little switch on it, MDA or RPT.
Or report.
Yeah, you can flip that to RPT.
Okay.
And then push the knob on the right,
report.
and then you can dial in whatever altitude you want there, and it'll give you the altitude chime on the way down.
We'll report leaving 10,000 feet.
Perfect.
All right. Very cool. So here we are, we're approaching 1,000 feet. So we just hit the descent profile then. Just that simple. All right. So here we go.
Well, actually, you gotta select your altitude first.
That would make a difference, wouldn't it? Let's go ahead and scroll that down. Is it push for thousands or?
No, it's
okay. It moves pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I actually put a lot of time into getting that acceleration right.
That actually feels. I mean, it's good. I mean, because there are some airplanes that drives me nuts. Where you'll crash the airplane trying to spin in your next altitude.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time doing those kind of things.
There's just going to set the bug, like you said, and then now we just got to monitor the power so we don't blast on through. Awesome. Now I'm actually looking there. I think we'll be in all right. I might have to throw in the localizer frequency or something. Let's see. Just to cover our bases, 110.9 and 306. So for nav 1, would you be just over here, or is there anything?
Yeah, you can do it either way. You can do it on the RTU if you push the line select key next to VOR1. Puts the star there, and now you can just dial that in.
When I say 110.9, I think. Yeah, 110.9.
Or on the CDU, you can go to the nav page.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I knew there was another. Yeah, 110.9, so you can even.
And if it was a VOR, yeah, you can enter the identifier, or you could use the map.
Very neat. All right.
And on the RTU, by the way, this is something I added because one of the owners and I were one of the Starships lives in Eastern Europe, and we said, how are they dealing with this is where we're American pilots. What's the frequency spacing? 8.33 kilohertz, right?
833, yeah.
Yeah. So he said, how do they deal with 833? So I actually found one of the only other airplanes that uses those RTUs is in service for the United States. I forget if it's the Air Force, Navy, whatever it is, and they have a solution, and it puts in an extra digit. So if you click, like middle click on the knob on the RTU. Okay. On the RTU. Yeah. It puts in an extra digit.
Oh my gosh, yeah. 155.
So if you
wanted, 1555 or 3, 525. Yes.
And you can do that, of course, on the CDU as well. If you go to the comm page.
That's actually going to be very handy. That's an important tip for anybody that wants to fly on VADSIM.
Absolutely.
Because that's going to be, how do I get this frequency spacing? So you push in and get that extra digit.
Or
Awesome.
you can enter it on the CDU if you go to the COM page.
Just COM
It's
here.
obviously a lot easier
Right.
to type it in there.
Yeah, 120. You can do like 22. I guess. Do you have to put a decimal, or you just type straight across?
No,
For
yeah,
frequency?
no decimal at all. There's no decimal on the keyboard.
Yeah, none. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, 22.525. That's really neat.
And then if you push the button again, it like synchronizes the frequency spacing, so it'll go back to our 25
R10,
kilohertz.
yep.
Yeah.
2252. All right.
How are we doing on the descent? Yeah, about 1,000 feet per minute. It's about right.
Very cool. So we'll go back to the scene. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost on the money.
Right on the money. Power's just right too. It's holding perfectly. 240 on the speed. Coming on down. Pressurization. We need a reset, or
Yeah, bring that
it
down.
to 1,000. I think it's actually close to zero.
Yeah, the differential is
Yeah.
fine. So you can bring it down.
Right about there. Sounds good. Forgot to turn the seatbelt sign off. I guess it's 1980. Smoke them if you got them, right?
Yep. We haven't even talked about the floppy disk yet.
I know. So, right here, right
Mm-hmm.
now, is this going to cause any issues if I were to
No,
load
no,
it?
you can put that
So
right in there.
We can load it in right now, and latch down. I got a funny story about a floppy disk. I'm not sure how old you are, but when I was my first jet, I was flying a Citation Bravo, and the guy I was flying with, he's like, "All right, he handed me the floppy disk, update the nav data." And I'm looking at, and like I knew what a floppy disk was. I'm not that young, but you have to put it in one way. It only goes in one way, right? And I'm
Oh, yeah.
I stuck it in, didn't work. And he's like, "How old are you? Give me that thing." It's like, I can't believe you children.
Oh boy.
But yeah, got the floppy disk inserted to update our nav data, right? So
Yeah, I wouldn't have done these things if I wasn't nostalgic for the 90s as well. So
I love it.
yeah, and if you want to, I won't do any harm if you wanted to run it now. I mean,
What's that?
here we can at
Yeah.
least like load it up. If you
Okay.
go to the index page on the CDU, you can hear it. Read the sectors and figure out what it's doing. Read, write, diskette, read file.
Refile from diskette.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if you were watching
That's
like that,
great.
the activity light does flash when it's reading the disk.
Yeah.
So that's how you do the nav data update. Like it'll prompt you for it when it's out of date.
Okay.
And there is no, people have asked about this a lot online. It's not a Navigraph database. It's
Yeah.
not, there's nothing, don't think about it too much. I
Right.
wanted to put the floppy disk in it because the real one has it.
Yeah. No, that's a
And-
great little feature.
So all it does is it's just checking when the last time was you were using the aircraft, and if it's been whatever it is for the FAA, 5.5 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
It says, oh, time to update.
Time
So
to
you
update.
can pop it in, and then when you're doing your checklists, it's going do, and
Talk about
Updating your
immersion.
database.
That is next level immersion. We got the floppy disk and the sounds too. I mean, there are some people
Mhm.
that have never heard
Mhm.
a floppy disk sound. That's the first
yeah,
time they ever
there's
heard.
there's
what
no
it sounds
dial-up internet in
Yeah.
the Starship though. And my last thing on the floppy, which is I've seen people say like, oh, it looks really out of date now. Why would you do that? Like put a
What?
USB stick in it.
No.
The real one has it. I
No.
put the floppy in myself.
I know. That's great.
It's not there for the record. It's in the cabinet, behind
Behind
yeah.
the-
But I didn't want to have to
Yeah.
open that all up and
No,
everything.
I
so
love the
it's
floppy
fine.
disk. I mean, I love it. So I love the old school stuff so much. I even forgot to get our Garmin.
get that
I
out
was
of
like,
here.
Yeah,
We
get
don't
that
want
out of
that.
it. We don't need it. Disable that. I love the old school nav stuff and just the history. You're flying history.
Mhm. Yes, that's a great way to put it. I love it. And as far as the, you might want to back off on the power just a little bit because it's going down.
Yeah.
As far as the floppy is concerned too, people have said again, what's the point? Well, there's more you can figure out yourself. And we're going through 18. Yep, there you go. And but back on the CDU, if you try to write to that disk, that's actually how I do my debugging.
Oh, really?
I know that sort of means nothing to the
Yeah.
to the user, but yeah, if you go to the back to the disk screen and then go to write to diskette
Let's see. That was in
index.
index page.
I know. It's
I
tough.
got to fight it with my eyes. I'm looking right at it. All right. Index page, read,
read,
write,
write,
diskette, and
and
then
then
write. Okay.
and it's going to find a good sector or an open sector. And if you that write, user data, write flight plan, whatever. You push
Yeah.
it, you'll hear it write it, and here.
Yeah.
And that's actually writing to the console that I use for development. So
Really?
anytime I was playing with this and going like, oh, what is wrong? Why is my flight plan messed up?
Yeah.
I put in the floppy, I push the button.
That is too neat. That is really, really. I mean, that's. I've never even heard of another add-on that have anything remotely close to that.
And I'm hoping that actually does come in handy, when Starship is out in the wild, because, if anybody runs into some issues and goes like, I entered this flight plan, why isn't it working?
Oh yeah, why is this not taking?
Yeah.
And what's the wrong?
My answer is going to be put in the floppy and take a screenshot, I mean, I'll be lucky if that doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, there'll always be something. That's really neat.
This has been so much fun.
That's
Thank you.
thank you for coming on. I mean, this is I wasn't quite sure, what the best way to do anything, but this was perfect. I loved it. I mean, I didn't even realize it's already almost 6 o'clock. It's been having so much fun. Just incredible.
Yeah, and this is my first time ever doing this, by the way.
Really?
I've never
honored.
made an
I am
appearance.
honored to have you on. So thank you, Nick. I really appreciate you coming on. We'll have
when
to do it
Just
again
Flight-
sometime.
I would actually love to, especially if it's Starship. I have to admit.
Okay. Or Beach 99 in the future. You never know. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, okay. You used to fly one?
Yeah, that was my first turboprop.
Ooh-wee. That's trial by fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not uber familiar with the Beach 99, but there used to be some. What was the military variant? A turboprop Queen Air?
Yeah,
military? A 95 dash something?
Yeah, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then they had like there's a whole slew of them.
Yeah. There used to be some of those that hung around my airport that did aerial application.
Oh wow.
And I would, they have all these things hanging off the bottom of them and stuff, But I used to go, like look in the window, and I went, oh my God, these people are flying like it's World War II.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all the exposed rivets on the inside.
Right,
There's no
right.
upholstery.
Yeah, just completely gutted. Yep. That's how, I mean, a lot of our freight birds were the same way. I mean, you had your panel up here, and that was it. I mean, there was no acoustic lining. It was all ripped out. Matter of fact, they actually cut, because on the 99, you couldn't egress the airplane if you had cargo. So they cut in a window door right here. And if that door flew open, it basically would render like the it would really mess with the aerodynamics of the airplane, and it would hit the prop. Matter of fact, there was actually a crash. The guy survived incredibly out. I think it was Portland, Maine, a couple of years ago.
I know.
The door
I was
flew
going to
open.
mention that.
The aircraft crashed, but he actually survived. But that was, I mean.
Yeah, I probably saw that Beach 99 because that's where I used to do most of my flying was up in New England.
Yeah,
and I remember they used to go into New Hampshire all the time.
Yep. Yeah, so that was a freight company that I used to work for, and then they ended up buying Wiggins Freight, which was out there on the Northeast. So. All right, looking good. Getting ready to go through 12,000 vertical speeds. Looking good. Oh, I wanted to ask you, terrain? Yeah, because we're kind of descending down towards it here.
I put a lot of effort into that one.
Yes.
So this is, so we got to get the radar going.
Okay, so.
The radar, this is a little confusing. The radar button toggles the radar display.
Okay, so that's not
you see how it
actually-
says
yeah,
standby?
or not.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now you have to go to the radar control page.
Okay.
And that's like, that's how you don't fry the ramp workers when you're on the ground.
Right.
So then you have the weather plus turbulence only. This is imperfect because the Microsoft Flight Sim weather radar system is not excellent, but I've gone to lengths to make it as good as I can. So, the weather, I don't think there's any precipitation out there, so you're not going to see anything. But, I added dithering on it that's programmatically controlled. So you get a better distance out of it and better, like you can't see things that are, too close to you, that sort of thing. And the precipitation, like if you're in the precipitation, it kills the range, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the terrain. So if you push the ground map button.
Yep.
Now you're not going to see anything because obviously we're still at 11,000. But if you tilt it all the way down, you might start to pick up what's underneath you. And this is where it kind of breaks down a little bit because you're looking at like a really steep angle.
Right.
What this is really good for, like I was using it the other day. I was flying around the the Nevada desert
Yeah.
in like Tonopah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And I was flying the dead of night. There's no lights anywhere.
Yeah.
And I said, there's mountains.
Yeah.
There's mountains out
absolutely.
there in the dark.
Absolutely.
So if you're flying level and you set that tilt to 0, like when you push the knob, it zeroes the tilt.
Oh
and
yeah. Yep.
and that's going to tell you, theoretically, if there's anything out there in front of you.
That's awesome.
And what you can do too is, you don't have to do this now, but if you go to the next page on the radar, auto tilt.
Ah.
So what that does is it zeroes the tilt and then holds it to the horizon. So as you maneuver around the airport, pitch up, pitch down, climb,
It's
descend,
locked.
and you can offset that by moving the tilt knob. So if you want to look at a constant, let's say like 5 degrees below the airplane,
Yeah.
you go auto tilt, set that knob, and you're going to be looking at a constant slice of the horizon in front of you.
Oh wow, fascinating.
And I'm trying to think what else. What else on that page works. But I mean, you can put it in test mode and see the the test display screen. The turbulence mode and everything is like a decent facsimile. Like it's where the weather's really intense, it lights up magenta.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to fly this airplane in some weather. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is really,
ground
this
clutter.
is spot on. Like if you don't, from
I
San
know.
Jose is right there in the bowl. I mean, we're coming up Silicon Valley. I mean,
That's what it's great for.
That's awesome. Like if you were at night right now, you wouldn't be able to see anything. Well, you see the lights, but I mean, the mountains are black at night, like you said.
And especially out in the desert, there's no there's no
black
antennas
hole.
on them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's what it's really good for, in my opinion, is kind of spotting, like, there's a lot of approaches like this, and like in Wyoming,
Yes.
the middle of the country, and obviously if you're flying in the Swiss Alps and
Yes.
the Urals, that sort of thing, it's really great for seeing, like, am I in that valley?
Mhm.
What's on either side of me, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that's pretty neat is if you pull up the present position map or the radar map on the MFD.
Let's see. So we go index.
It has a dedicated radar page,
Yep.
if you want to see
Oh, yeah.
nothing but radar.
Yeah.
So now go to, on the MFD, push the little soft key there for radar 2.
Radar. Two
On the,
right here.
yeah. So
Okay.
now it goes off. And that's because do you see on the CDU, it says channel, sync, or split?
Yeah.
So now if we go to the right side CDU and go to the radar control page, now, well, I guess you won't see anything with weather, but you could turn on the ground map and on the right CDU. Ground map.
Yeah.
Boom. And then if you see, it's giving us a different depiction.
Yeah.
And you could actually adjust the gain as well on either of these. That works really well with the weather. That's awesome.
Okay.
So there's ground clutter suppression. You can turn on and off, and you can turn the gain up and down. So it's I've made this as close to reality as I can.
Where's
Yeah, the gain is the up and down arrow
arrows.
key.
Yeah, I see the yeah.
So you'll see it has to redraw.
Yeah,
when you do
redraw and
that.
everything. Right, we're looking at ground map, but yeah, that's very neat. Wow.
And the way it does that was I had when I see these things, I'm like, I can't program this unless I understand it, because
Yeah.
I have a curse.
Yeah.
I have a disease. And so I had to look into it, and what it's doing is that it actually halves the resolution that you get when you use it in split mode, because it's doing one sweep, like left to right,
Okay.
and then it's doing the other
Then
right
the
to
other
left.
right to left.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
I know.
You-
These
once
these
I-
guys
that's-
that built this airplane,
Man.
brilliant.
Brilliant. And the fact that that's simulated and it just blows my mind.
This is the definition of passion project.
Yes, 100%.
You know,
100%.
It's been about 3 years, since I could probably go find the email, but I wrote to Just Flight and I said, I kind of want to do a Starship. And I got all the manuals and everything from the owners, and I started going through it, and I was kind of, I made a list for myself. This I do still have. I made a list of all the things I wanted to implement and all the things that I was like, too hard, nope, not going to do it, not going to happen, too hard. And after 3 years, I did all of them.
Wow. I mean, that's a testament to
seriously.
passion right there. I mean, that's...
I couldn't not.
Yeah.
When I saw what I was creating, I just said, nope, this has to be done.
Yeah. No, that's... I mean, So I'm thankful for it, and there's going to be thousands of people that are thankful for it as well.
I hope so, because
I guarantee
Starship deserves to be remembered.
Guaranteed. And it's like, and I've said this before on other streams, and just it doesn't always have to be aviation, but when you talk to somebody, you hear somebody talk about something that they are truly deeply passionate about, you can tell, you can pick up on it just the way they speak and the way they talk about it or explain things. And for you, all the way back to the what was it? The first things that popped, the analog analog remake stuff, the first BlackSquare products that I saw from Microsoft Flight Sim, and you could tell immediately that you have a passion and a drive that I haven't seen in a very long time. So it is a very welcomed product to all of Microsoft Flight Sim, whether it's a Starship or even something else, whatever you got cooking next. I mean, I know you do have another lineup of stuff coming
Too
out.
many things.
A lot of things. Yep. So.
You know, you just because you mentioned the analog, series, that is what's going to be next after this. When I come home from Flight Sim Expo, which is the end of this month.
Oh,
you're not going to be joining us. You are? Oh,
yeah.
delightful.
I look forward to meeting you. Yes.
I'll talk your ear off about Starship again, I'm sure. Now, yeah, just be careful. Okay, good.
Yeah, I scrolled it in there. I was trying.
I don't know if you've played with the roll and pitch knobs, by the way, but that's pretty fun.
They're down here, right?
Yeah, on the
right.
autopilot.
Let's see. Oh, I guess I should have that on too.
And the other thing too, if you see on that same panel, there's the AP transfer, autopilot transfer button. That, on
right
the top.
Yep.
There, yeah. So that allows you, whether it's your co-pilot or whether you've had a failure or something, to fly the airplane completely from the right side of the panel. So that's
Really?
so all the speed bugs and everything, it all uses the right-hand side.
Wow.
So, if one of those screens failed on the left, you go, oh, that's too bad. And you push the button and then you
push it. Good to
go. So when I come home from Flight Sim Expo, it's going to be, the Starship's the first of my airplanes that's going to be officially supported in Flight Sim 2024. I apologize it's taken so long, but I mean, I don't want to get into it, but it has been very unpleasant.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
I try to tread lightly talking about this.
Yeah.
But it's been so much work, and unfortunately, I feel that in some ways, Flight Sim 2024 kind of butchers my models and my materials.
Really?
Everything else runs perfectly, like all the avionics and everything. I had to make some. Starship originally wouldn't even load; it just crashed. I had to figure out why and modify code and things, but it's starting to get there, and it's going to be enjoyable. I mean, I'm glad you're doing it right now.
No, and actually, that reminded me. I've been wanting to ask a developer anything for anybody that develops aircraft. You're the perfect one to ask. So, how is it? Because early on we heard, 2020 everything's going to be compatible with 2024 right out of the gate, and obviously the way things have transpired for multiple developers is that really hasn't been the case. So how difficult, or is it difficult, or what is the challenge when you look at how you develop an airplane for 2020 and make support for 2024? Is there a significant challenge there trying to balance both sims?
It's a very good thing that we're only a few miles out, because it means I'll keep this brief.
Okay.
This promise of reverse compatibility clearly did not come fully to fruition with the first few sim updates, because there were things that were just really broken.
Right.
But what it looks like is, if you just kind of drag and drop an airplane, there's a few things, there's a few materials you might have to change a little bit, a few config files you might have to update, but generally it will work. Now, for simple airplanes, that's going to be good enough. I don't doubt that I've suffered the most amongst a lot of developers, because my airplanes are so complex. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. But that reverse compatibility is kind of running in a legacy mode, if you will.
Okay.
So you can't make use of a lot of the new features, and a lot of things have been really kind of thrown together so that it still works. So for instance, it's it'll use the old pilot avatars that sit in the cockpit.
Right.
But the moment that you go and try to update this to Flight Sim 2024, it's going to use like the new aerodynamics, the new pilot avatars, the new lighting, the new materials. And so the moment that you want to make this a Flight Sim 2024 native aircraft, that's where it all starts to fall apart. So, you know, right off the bat, it uses the new pilot avatars. Oh, great. They spawn with their legs through the floor and their head sticking through the roof.
I've seen that.
You know, and so that's like day one. So then once you got that figured out, it's like, okay, so then why do my materials look bad? Okay, I have to redo all the materials. Oh, the materials won't even load because they use a new proprietary texture format. I have to make all of those. So the worst one is, and this is, you know, there's been some discussion about this, so I feel like you can, you know, I'll be vindicated if you Google it. The level of detail system, LOD.
Yes.
Look at that wing
That's amazing, isn't it? I love it.
And the sound I love too.
Yep. I'm going to turn my noise canceling off too to get full effect here.
Well, the noise canceling actually doesn't affect those sounds. It only affects like engine and wind and that sort of thing. So that way you can still yeah. Well, it's like what you said about noise canceling in the real world. It's like I don't want you to miss out when something, you know, dings or clicks because, you know, I really need to shut up here.
No, you're good. You're doing it. Keep on going. It's fascinating.
Well, all I was going to say, the LOD system. So what that is that they have enforced the LOD system in the new sim, such that if you do not adhere to it, basically the airplane will disappear by the time you take a few steps away from it. And what that means is that for my fleet of aircraft, I have had to go back and make and then export over 200 models for all of my aircraft.
Wow.
And when I say that it butchers it a little bit, what I mean by that, because I don't want to offend anybody who thinks that it's gorgeous, it kind of is. I mean, just look at the sunset and the lens flare and the clouds. Yeah. What I mean is that, you know, there didn't used to be this LOD. So no matter what distance you were away from my airplane, it looked perfect.
Right.
Right? But now, as you start to walk away from it on the ramp or zoom out, it starts to lose detail. Yeah, and you can see the popping of the model and the materials. And if you want to do one that's really bad right now, I hesitate to do this because you're never going to unsee it.
Oh, I don't know.
But if you zoom all the way out in the cockpit right now, look at the soft keys on like the screens. Just keep zooming. Uh-oh, they disappeared.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Nothing I can do about it. Unless I go back and edit a whole bunch of things in the model, because they're just culling these objects way too early.
Yeah.
And they said they're going to fix some of this for Sim Update 3, but that one hasn't gotten fixed yet. And whatever. It'll get there eventually. Wow. I don't mean to be too much of a downer about it. It's been a lot of work.
I mean, hearing that, I mean, thank you for answering that, because I've been wondering that since, you know, I guess Sim Update 1, you know, everyone, that, like you said, the promise of reverse compatibility and all that. But I'm just thankful that we have what we have now. I mean, I know they're not officially supported either, the Dukes, but I've been loving them in 24. I haven't run into any personal issues.
Which is good to hear. It's also a little spooky because I can see all the things that are wrong.
Oh, great. But as far as flying them, though, they still seem a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Yeah, I am glad that people have kind of been able to load them up and at least, you know, kind of get their fix while they're waiting for the updates.
Oh, yeah, we patiently wait. What's the approach speed on this? 120?
So 120 is VREF.
Okay.
I would start bringing it back a little bit now. I kind of hold it around the blue line there once you get on short final. Now, it likes to float and it doesn't land quite like your normal airplane. So
now, should a prop spin full forward?
Yes.
Okay, that's me. There we go. Prop
so I'd start kind of bringing it towards the numbers now.
Okay.
And you're going to hold it off, but it's going to hold off pretty flat. It's not going to want to flare like a conventional airplane. And just, you got to get that speed to just bleed off and be just as close to the ground as you can possibly get. And then it's got that big long gear in the back, so it's going to kind of sit itself down assertively. Looking good. Yeah, hold it.
Oh, I like that.
That's how it's done.
I got lucky on that one.
And, because the props are behind the gear, when you go into beta after touchdown, it can actually help soften the nose gear touchdown.
Okay. Instead of smashing down. That's great.
Which is easy to do in a canard aircraft because that forward wing is kind of losing its lift pretty quick after you touch down. Oh, that was, I couldn't have hoped for a better landing. Wow.
Hey, I got lucky. I'm glad I got lucky because my first one was not that smooth. I can promise you that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take
Yeah, it can be a
here.
little tricky of an airplane in some ways, but it's also incredibly docile, and
It is.
you know, it's a it's a
She
good,
loves
good
to
flying
fly. She
machine.
wants to be flying. Let's take it across here. And then the GA rally over here.
And you did that all with me distracting the heck out of you on short final. You should have used your isolation switch and just shut me
Oh,
off.
I know. Oh, that was great. That was a beautiful approach. And the hand flying, I mean, that goes without saying.
It feels great.
It feels incredible.
You know, that's one thing I'll say too. I put a lot of time into because I was actually really worried I wasn't going to be able to get a canard model for this airplane because I did it for the velocity. And to the best of my knowledge, there's only one other developer that's even toyed with doing honest, canard physics. And it works. It was really, really hard for the velocity. It took a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of math, but it got there. And then I started trying to do it for Starship, and I just went, oh God, this is not scaling. Like, this is not going to happen. And I was losing sleep. And I said, okay, this is going to take really hard math. And I went heads down, and I got it. And I'm not going to claim that it's perfect, but it feels good.
It feels really good. And it feels unique, too. Like, it feels different. And I really don't have a better way of saying it other than once you fly it yourself in the sim, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's something going on with this airplane. It just feels unique and it feels incredible. It's so smooth, too.
It's hard to describe.
So smooth.
All right, let's see. We got here after landing checklist.
After
we
landing.
got,
Let's run.
yeah, all the heats off.
All right, heats are coming off. Those coming down.
Leave the transponder on, lights as required. Trim set, forward wing retract.
Retracted. I pulled it up already.
All right, securing and shutdown. Parking brake is set. Oxygen supply off.
Oxygen supply off.
Icing it's all off.
off.
Windshield heats are off. Okay, pilot and co-pilot avionics off.
All right, pilot and wrong one.
Oh,
Pilot.
sorry.
Co-pilot avionics.
Standby instruments off.
Standby instruments are. Oh, I always forget where this one is.
Same switch. Yeah.
Oh
down
yeah,
there.
right here. Yeah. It's, for some reason, I want to say it's up here, but it's right here.
And temperature mode off. Bleed air valves off. Yeah, temperature mode. Yep. Battery, we can check, make sure it's fully charged. That's just checking the health of the battery. Pushing that. Yeah, zero.
Yep.
Good. ITT stabilized for 1 minute.
Yep.
Fuel cutoff. And feather the props. And then what we'll see is when the generators go offline, we'll lose some of the loads because the bus ties are going to open up. Everything's cooling down. Pressure's going down good. Colors feathered. ITT. Yep. Fuel cutoff. Overhead panel switches all off. That's all the lights and everything. And then the ICAS off. And the master switch, you can just press the whole bar over the top of them.
Crash bar down. Love that.
Nice. And install the control locks, open the door, and go get your $100 hamburger.
I'm ready. I think it's going to be more than $100 for
I
this
think
one.
so.
Man, that was just an incredible flight, Nick. Thank you so much for coming on and just learning about the Starship. I mean, I am fired up about it, and I'm going to be flying this airplane quite a bit.
I hope so. And I would really enjoy joining you again because
yes, absolutely. I'll get a little bit more proficient. I'll be able to know where things are.
Oh,
and
you seem great.
I think we'll be able to tackle it like professionals.
It is a testament to the aircraft, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Oh, speaking of, real quick before you go, what is this? I looked at the certification. Is this a single pilot airplane?
It is.
It is a single pilot airplane. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's weird, right? Because the gross weight is over 12,500.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I was curious. And then I thought I saw something where it's like, well, it's recommended 2 crew, but it's single crew.
Perhaps. But yes, it is single. It's the weird thing is that now they don't have a simulator anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to get an answer quite to my satisfaction just due to probably lack of time. But
Yeah.
I was, I'm curious about how they go about, maintaining their not their proficiency. I mean, they fly them all the time,
Right.
but maintaining the, everything in their logbook and their,
Yeah, that's a good
IPCs. I
point.
guess
That's
they
a
just do
very
them in
good
the
point.
airplane.
Yeah.
Yep. And just because we're walking around, I'll say one more thing about the. You saw that you got the lights on in the cabin right there.
Yeah.
And that's, because when you open up the door, it's got
Yeah,
all the
it
courtesy lights.
Yeah.
That turn on, in the cabin, the aisle, so you can find your way around in the
Right.
dark, and that's controlled via that switch panel,
Right
right
up in
there.
here, yeah.
And so when you're inside, yeah, you can toggle the things on and off there.
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
And
Oh, look at this. You got a little panel and everything down here, dedicated to Burt Rutan, greatest living aircraft designer. Wow.
well, he designed all the airplanes we've talked about on the stream here: Global Flyer,
Yeah.
Voyager,
Wow.
the Long Easy. People are probably familiar
Yep.
with,
Yep. Oh yeah.
and Starship.
Wow.
And I'm a huge fan of his, so I thought this was fitting.
Well, you definitely did it justice. That is for sure. Definitely did.
And well, I was about to say, when you're installing those covers, as for how things are alive in a black square
Yeah.
aircraft,
Am I gonna
when you
melt
put
them?
those, it retains the heat.
Oh, geez, really?
So if you're
so
flying
cool.
in Alaska, when
Yeah.
you go back in, you'll see the
Yep.
engines are still warm if you throw the covers on.
Yep.
And if they are still warm, there's an engine clearing checklist, because you don't
Yeah.
want to start if they're over, say maybe
Right,
100,
gotta motor 'em out, right?
250. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
motor it,
Yep.
and that's all simulated.
Wow. Well, when I get the Duke down to South America and I do the return trip, it's going to have to be in the Starship.
Ooh,
It's
I
gonna
would
have be
love
in
to
the
watch that.
Starship. All right. Maybe you can fly along with me. We'll do a little tandem.
I'd love to.
Little tandem Starship flight.
Yeah, I was going to say this. This is my first time appearing in
Yeah.
a stream or a video like this.
I'm
And
honored to have you on.
I did it. I decided to take the time, to do this because I thought that purely it would be fun.
It was a blast. I had so much fun.
I don't have a lot of opportunities to enjoy my airplanes. It's kind of
Yeah.
like as a developer, I only get to fly them when they're either unfinished or broken.
Right. Yeah. And then
You know?
you're in troubleshoot
Yes.
mode. Like, all right, I got to fix this. I
Oh,
gotta
I
do
don't-
that. Yeah.
I hesitate to say I don't think there's many more people in the country who are proficient at both debugging code and flying an approach at the same time.
That's I could only imagine. That is, you talk about task management and all, that's definitely. Well, thank you
So,
again, Nick. Appreciate
yeah,
you so
thank you.
much for coming on. And
You definitely fulfilled my wish to have a lot of fun with
awesome.
this.
That makes me so happy.